Thank you for listening and welcome to the Life Podcast, a proud member of the Eventide Entertainment Podcast Network. I'm your host, Don Smith. We have a full house for this show. Patrick, Weed, Vampire, and Laughing Chipmunk all stick around from the Raider Up show to meet my guests, Damon Darling and Evan Cackley. If you enjoy the show, like and follow the Life 1069 on Facebook and Don Smith Comedy on Twitter, or tune in live on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM, or you can stream the show live at wwsu1069.org.
The brutal presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.
All right, you are listening to the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith. If you're sticking around from Patrick's show, Raider Up, Patrick's sticking around from that show too, as well as most of the people that were in the studio. So we've got a full house here on the Life Radio Show.
I tell you, that last 5 minutes was crazy.
It was. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. We got 2 hours, Patrick, and we get dumb. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. This is the most serious show on this radio station. I'm Don Smith, host of the Life Radio Show. I'm sitting in. I have no guest co-host today, and instead we just have a house full of people. I don't know half of them. Damon Darling. Damon Darling is my guest. And make sure you pull that mic up close. You don't have to.
All right. Is that good?
Oh, yeah. Get up close and personal with it. It's okay. It's okay. Nobody's shy here.
Okay.
You heard the conversation before we went on air. There's nobody shy in this room.
All right.
Evan might be. Evan Cackley
Hello.
is also there. What was that again?
Uh,
Just the way you said that.
Hello?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That gave me a warm feeling. I appreciate that.
I've never been on a radio show either, so this is all new to me.
Get that mic right up there, because that one tends to cut you out.
Is that better?
That's better. That's
all
perfect.
Right. Awesome.
That's perfect. Well, I do have some good and bad news for you. You are on the radio. This isn't much of a show. But it's okay. Right. It's a lot of fun. We also have a Laughing Chipmunk decided to stick around. She's way back in the back.
Oh.
Hi! And there's a vampire in here somewhere.
She's going to suck your blood.
Somebody named Weed, I'm assuming, is holding.
Hey, he came from Canada.
Take off, eh?
Is his nickname Chronic?
Yeah. That's his middle name.
Okay.
Weed Chronic MJ is the...
This is going to be awkward. I've never had a knob gobbler this close to my mouth.
This close to your mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta bring some. You gotta bring a toothbrush. Actually, is what you need at that point. We also, we have a dead man's ashes over there too. So it's a very Halloweeny show.
We still don't know whose ashes that is. Apparently, it's a former general manager of ours. Their ashes are up there. So
really,
yeah, because
we could be haunted at any point in time during this show.
Yeah, so
nice.
I'm guessing even if he was a ghost, he wouldn't be here. He would have taken off down the hallway. He's probably haunting somewhere interesting.
Yeah, right.
I have an invisible cup of milk. Who wants to get the ashes down and make a chocolate milk and drink it?
I'm good.
Well, if Jess Cordry were here, because he's already spilled it on his shirt. It's one of my favorite stories. I had a guest. It was his first time on the radio show. I hadn't met him before, and that was his introduction. As I turned around to get a water, and I turned back around, he's got the capsule with the cap off and ashes on his shirt going, what's this?
Wow.
Wow.
That's a dead guy, and you're wearing him now.
Right. You
Probably snorted a little bit of him inadvertently. So congratulations. You're now
introduction.
Yes. His soul is now mingling with the other. So he's like two different people now, but he was pretty much split to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
well, we'll go ahead and we'll start. I introduced Patrick too. I just skipped right over Patrick.
I thought you already introduced me.
Well, we were talking about weed.
I was going to say
that weed, not weed. Canadian weed, not the weed from but that weed from Canada. Anyway, moving on. Damon Darling.
yes.
What brings you to the studio today? My invitation. How long have you been performing stand-up comedy? You're fairly new, I believe. Since December. So, yeah, creeping up on a year.
Funny on my life.
I could tell.
Tried to rap for a while. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
You
not
tried to rap
intimidating
and realized comedy is the way to go.
Right. Everybody laughed at me when I rapped. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Right.
That's your opening routine right there.
Yeah. Yeah, comedy's better. I like comedy.
So what exactly got you into comedy? Why would you do this to yourself?
I know. I'm asking myself that now. It's a vicious industry. Like I said, I was told I was funny all my life. Everybody always said I was goofy and made them laugh. I was always a class clown. And
Well,
even when I
good.
was rapping, everybody was like, man, you need to go do comedy. You need to go do comedy. And I fought it for so long. And finally I was like, all right, I'll go do comedy.
Have you ever tried to combine the two, do comedy rap?
Yeah, actually, I'm doing more of that now. I just made a rap
okay.
song about ramen noodles.
Ooh,
So,
I need to hear that.
Perfect.
It's called Ramen Top.
Ramen Top.
It's actually pretty dope. It's on my
There's actually
Instagram.
there's a organization around campus, a Christian organization that passed out flyers and packs of ramen noodles and said, "Isn't it great to be ramen Catholic?"
Yeah. That
pretty
is
dope.
so weird. A religious organization with a sense of humor. You don't
Right.
see you don't
You
see
don't.
those very often.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I guess it depends on what the humor is. That would be okay.
Yeah, they,
but, you know.
and
True.
pick and choose.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what they read, and
Right.
they kind of pick and choose what to reference. We'll move on to Evan. How long have you been performing stand up?
I think
Have you just got on this show under false pretenses? No, I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing stand up probably since about the end of May.
Oh,
Started
okay.
June.
Okay.
I started off doing a couple at Wiley's,
Nice.
and now I'm in Columbus doing a lot of stuff with Becky Solin and Wild Goose Creative, Columbus Unscripted, and Lee Mays as well. And it's been a real welcoming experience so far, really.
Yeah, it is at first, and then everybody turns cutthroat and starts.
Yeah.
Pretty much. They're
Well-
nice at like the first open mic, and then you see who
Yeah.
they really are.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, man, this is going to be great. And after that, it was...
It depends. It depends.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there are those forces everywhere. I think
It's
and
in a
that's-
loving way, though. I mean, you got to
Oh,
understand.
yeah.
It's a competition at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like a sport. So it's no different from football and basketball. I mean, they're going to be nice to you, but at the end of the day, you're competing.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
the end of the day,
Yeah.
they still love sitting in the back of the room watching you bomb.
Right.
That is a comic's favorite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did your first time on stage go? Since is it still fresh in your mind?
Yeah, it is a little bit. My first time, I was very anxious, just because I had never done it before, so I didn't really,
Weren't sure what to expect.
yeah, what to expect. And when I just heard my name called on stage, as soon as I walked up there, all my anxiety just went away, and I just started talking, and apparently the people thought I was funny.
That's good. That's good. That's a better first time than some folks get. You know?
Yeah.
But Wiley's, if your first time's at Wiley's is always a good place to
Yeah.
perform for your first time because usually it's a pretty
Yeah.
forgiving audience. They just ask you don't run the light.
Right.
Yeah.
My first spot was
Sorry,
actually at Yellow Springs Spirited Goat.
Ah, how is
And-
I have never been up there for that.
It's even more welcoming than Wiley's. Like, they're not going to
Really?
boo you or heckle you, and it's always a small audience of 5. So it was a good place for me to just practice remembering my material
Right.
and getting comfortable behind the mic and stuff. And then after that, I took it to Wiley's, and then after Wiley's, I went to I went straight to Funny Bone.
Yeah,
open
you've
mic.
been doing a lot of guest sets,
And
guest
then I did
sets
Go
for
Bananas,
other comics. So.
and then I actually just opened for a big name comic, Country Wayne. He's
yeah.
big, pretty big in black community anyway. And that's
We know who he
That's
is.
big.
If
Oh,
we're
do you?
doing, if we're
Okay,
in
cool.
comedy, we know who.
oh
he is.
okay, cool. Yeah, right. But yeah, it was packed. That was my biggest crowd yet for sure.
Yeah.
There was maybe a few empty seats.
Yeah, that's one thing about the Funny Bone. They get a lot of good crowds in there too.
Mhm. So
As much as it pains me to say it,
yeah, right. Yeah, because I remember when I first told him that because I had to ask for a day off when I did Wiley's the first time.
yeah.
And my boss was so mad. He was like, you got an open mic where? And I was like, Wiley's. He was like, we have open mic. Why are you going to Wiley's?
Oh, you work at Funny Bone?
Yeah, I work at Funny Bone.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not. Well, no wonder you get up on stage.
Yeah, because I'm like
that's
right
easier.
there,
That's
with
that's
the comics and everything.
Yeah, that's at Funny Bone for a local to get up there. You about have to work in their kitchen.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to earn it.
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's the way it is. Yeah.
I mean, my boss literally said, "Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours."
Because Dayton Funny Bone used to have really good open mics.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just got away from them. They weren't getting enough reservations, which one thing that you'll learn pretty quick about open mics is people don't tend to make reservations for them. Is everything all right over there, Evan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, need a tissue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
You're just
yeah,
giggling to
just
yourself.
kind of
I'm
just
just
taking all this in.
okay.
Really.
Okay.
Okay.
You got
So
your
I'm-
phone out, just giggling. You're looking up comic books.
Yeah.
So your first time was at Wiley's?
Yeah. My first couple times were there.
Where was your first time bombing, or have you?
Ooh. I don't
If you've
think I've
done-
ever bombed yet.
Oh, it's
Does he
coming,
know what
man.
bombing is?
Yeah, I know what bombing is.
Well,
Okay.
there are some
It's
comics.
different
Yeah,
for
there are
everybody.
some comics that aren't self-aware enough to know when they're
Right.
bombing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like I've had a few bad performances, but none that I would say that I totally bombed.
Okay,
Okay.
it'll happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it will.
This is why I wish that Dale Blumkus would bring back shows at the Chapter Bar in Fairborn, because neither of you two got the great experience of performing at the Chapter. The Chapter Bar was my third show I ever did, and if I hadn't been booked already on like 3 other shows after that, it might have been my last one, because it was
Right.
it was this fantastic little bar show that they used to do on a Tuesday night. And, I mean, who going into a bar on a Tuesday night doesn't want to hear comedy?
Right.
Everybody that was there didn't want to hear comedy.
Right.
So, so my first time at the Chapter, it was hideous. Amid the silence, because I had done the Funny Bone, I had done Wiley's, great shows.
Right.
Great shows, great crowds. And I got up to the Chapter, and there was nothing but silence except for one little drunk old lady at the bar that just went, "My God, this is awful!" So that was
I thought we were going to get a laugh.
that was it. That was the only
Man.
response I got, and I thought, yeah, I'm loving this.
Right.
I actually have that on video somewhere.
Oh, I got to see that.
Never watched it.
I got to see it.
Will not happen.
You know what? Other comics told me not to watch my bomb videos, but I watch them over and over.
You learn more
Yeah,
watching
I
those,
learned
but
from
that
them.
one,
I'm like,
that
oh,
one
I
I
should've
just
did
didn't
this,
want to
I
watch.
should've did that.
I didn't want to watch, and that material, I basically threw that out
Trashed
because
it anyway.
it was a bunch of new stuff that I tried that I
Right.
shouldn't have tried there. Had I been more
Right.
experienced, I wouldn't have tried new stuff there.
Right.
Because what happens when you bomb with a bunch of new stuff at a show like that, you tend to get rid of that new stuff, and it could be some good stuff.
Right.
Just not that crowd.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's one of those things. Once that happens to you, you have to do it again.
Yeah.
Because I did the Chapter Bar. I performed there 5 times, I think. And every time, except for the last one, was awful. The last show, I finally got him because the guy before me did so bad that I spent 5 minutes talking about him. And
there
they
you go.
loved it.
There you go. Yep.
Because
Wow.
well, the funny thing was
Wow.
he'd been performing for about a year and was kind of cocky, and
Right.
we were talking to him out in front because we hadn't met him before. There was me and one other comic and him were standing out front, and he said, well, how's this room usually do? I mean, you guys performed here before. I said, well, when's the last time you bombed on stage? And he said, well, I've been doing comedy about a year. I've only had one bad show.
Right.
And me and the other comic looked at him at the same time in unison, went, this'll be 2.
Right. Yeah. You're getting
And
to
I
it.
followed him on stage, and he was supposed to do something was 6 to 8 minutes at the time, and I think he went a minute and a half and just stuck the microphone back and walked out the door.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a rough show, and I missed that because that was for a while that was a rite of passage
Yeah.
in the Dayton comedy community was to just go eat one at the Chapter.
Like you had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it usually happens when you start to get cocky.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's when you
around
get
the time
knocked
it
down.
happens. You're like, I'm not everybody else. I'm special.
Yeah, hey,
And
I
then-
got this.
Yeah, and then you get, and it's like, dude, Dave Chappelle's had bad sets. Like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
are you talking about? Like, you're no different.
Everybody's
Yeah.
everybody's had bad sets.
Yeah.
And if they've been performing comedy more than twice,
Yeah.
they've
I remember
probably
my
had a bad
first
set.
bomb was I just drew a blank, just literally
Oh,
forgot my material,
that's painful.
and I couldn't think of anything. I got like one joke off, and like halfway through another one, and then I was just like, all right, so I'll bring up your next comic here, and yeah, dude, and I didn't sleep for
Wow.
like 3 days.
Oh
I was
yeah,
just
that's
like, what the
terrifying.
heck?
Yeah,
I've
that,
done these jokes 100 times. Like, what the heck happened up there?
Yeah,
Thought
I-
God was playing some sick prank on me.
I used to perform a lot of live theater,
Right.
and I never blanked on stage except one night on dress rehearsal. The final dress rehearsal, I went out, it was my first line, and I think what threw me is my first line really was not even related to what was asked of me.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, when I went out there, final dress rehearsal, I got my cue, and I had nothing. And that scared me to
Right.
death. From
Yeah.
that point on, every day when I went in before the show, I would read over my entire
There you go.
script
That's exactly
2 times
what I did.
before going on stage.
And that's what I would
And
do
it
before.
did happen. It did happen once. I was doing a 15-minute set at another bar show. It was actually a cancer benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And I got about 6 minutes in, and I could remember all of my setups, all of my premises, could not remember a single punchline. And I just
Yeah.
fell flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to ad-lib for a while, and then finally I yelled at the host. I was like,
Right.
I'm done!
That makes me feel better, man.
Oh, yeah. We all...
That's exactly what happened to me. Normally, I'll look over my stuff, even if I've done it 100 times.
Yeah.
Before I go on, I gotta look at it a few times.
Yeah, I do.
And
that.
I didn't do it that time because I was like, man, I know this stuff.
Patrick looks very disappointed over you. You're just looking for nonstop funny.
Right.
This is comedians discussing comedians right here.
I'm not.
He's like, where's the dirty snack sack
Yeah.
jokes?
I'm
Yeah.
No, what I'm really doing
Yep.
is I'm imagining these situations in my head, and
Yeah, it's-
because. So I'm not a comedian, but I could definitely relate to
Yeah.
the bombing a set, and you got. It doesn't matter what you do, even, including in comedy. You got to practice,
Right.
and sometimes you fall very short of your goal, which is okay as long as you pick yourself back up and keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do, man. Like, because some people are they just have so much pride, like they can't just. Like,
Yeah, they
dude,
can't get over what they just
Like, everybody messes up, dude. Just keep going. Like,
Yeah.
they don't want to get back in front of people again.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that I kind of first learned about being a comic is to be aware that you are going to have nights where you are going to, not bring your best stuff,
Right.
or just
Well,
not.
Any little thing can throw you.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're not totally in it, some little thing
Yeah.
can just throw you off, and there goes your whole set.
Sometimes it's the room. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like the room.
Be the
Yeah.
It throws me off. Like, Go
See-
Bananas, I loved it. It was something about the setup that made me super comfortable.
I have not been there. I'm going to have to get down
and
there.
I just rocked it. And so whenever I have a bad set, I just watch my good ones to remind myself, like,
See,
dude, you
I've
are
actually-
funny.
Yeah.
You just had a bad set.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, you have to remind yourself
yeah,
of that
you gotta
every
just
now and
remind
then.
yourself.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
going. But yeah,
It's-
some rooms will just trigger it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't like this room. Like, how
Yeah,
it's set up,
And even
the
it can
lighting.
be one person. I could be having a really good set and one person sitting in the front row. This happened to me one night.
I
I
know
mean,
what you're gonna say.
everybody was laughing. One person in the front row was sitting crossed arms, just staring daggers at me.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, this guy's a jerk. Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
You know, if everybody else is laughing and you're not, you're the problem.
Right. At the
You ever
Country
try to
Wayne
make
show,
fun of him?
right in the front, it was two of them, though, the whole couple,
Yeah.
just the whole time.
yeah.
And I don't know why I kept focusing on them. I was telling myself, just don't look at them anymore. But once I had looked at them, I couldn't.
See, eventually you got to get to the point where you start to engage them.
Yeah, just
Just
make 'em
go
the show.
right
Oh,
after
you-
them. Yeah,
it's gonna-
yeah.
You're gonna give me that? Okay, I got you.
Because you just got to get to the bottom of why they're like that.
Yeah.
Because they had a fight in their car probably on the way there. She did not want to go see comedy.
Right.
And he was dragging her there. There's something behind
But we're
that.
so
So you
quick
just got
to
to find
think-
out.
Well, I'm not saying
Yeah.
you. I was so quick to think, oh, they just don't want to see me. They're
Right,
ready for the
right.
headliner. They're like, oh, what's this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're
Which
right. It's
you'll have
probably
that too.
some person
There
over
are some headliners that people go to see them and they don't care about anybody else that goes up on that stage, no matter how funny they are.
Right.
You'll have that.
Yeah. How do you feel since you're a little more in the game, seasoned? How do you? Because I got
You calling me old?
no
Yeah.
seasoned, man. It's a compliment. I got a few different opinions from different comics. Why do you feel like some comedians tell you, yeah, you can have a guest spot, but you got to be clean? But then they're not necessarily clean.
A lot of times they don't want you to take something away from them. I mean,
Okay.
a lot of times it's,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an ego thing or if they're thinking, well, if you get really raunchy, I'm going to have to follow that and I'm
Right.
going to have to do the same. That then takes that freedom away from them because you're doing a guest set, you're going up before them, you're getting the room ready for,
Right.
you're kind of setting the stage, as you will. And if
Right.
they get up there, they have to kind of go with the
Follow
energy
that.
that you created.
Right. That makes sense.
So I think that's a little part of it. And sometimes comics just like comics to stay as clean as possible because that's
See,
more
that's-
challenging. It's easier to get a laugh when you can say whatever
is.
you want.
It is.
I wish
Yeah.
we could do it on the radio because
cuss
you know
words are
what?
funny, man.
Yeah.
And they help you with your delivery.
But
Yeah.
Patrick will scold me.
Yeah. I definitely.
$325,000 fine, man, if we get caught saying those.
Have you
Well,
done a clean show
shucks.
yet?
No, I have never done a clean
clinch
show.
every time,
I
dude.
say a lot of more sensitive, darker.
Dark humor.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
I have a very dark sense of humor,
Mine's
and-
very racial.
and mine's just me saying dark stuff because I find it funny, not because like of just the shock value of it. I just
It's your humor.
yeah,
Right,
yeah. It's
right,
what
yeah.
I like.
And that's what you should stick
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. Yeah, I like dark humor. That's
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
I like
I've
pretty much
said
all
some-
kinds of humor. There's
Yeah.
very little. Well, not there is like some sitcoms that I absolutely would rather shoot a hole in my TV than watch.
Right.
Anyway, we needed to hit the comedy rundown and take a little break. I got some Potter's Field queued up, and if you guys haven't listened to Potter's Field, because everybody here except for Patrick is new to my show. Potter's Field's a local band, heavy metal, kind of thrash metal, growler metal. A friend of mine from high school that founded this band. Well, he founded a band. This is a side project he had going on at the same time. Good metal, and you can find them online, all over the place. Potter's Field. I'm going to be playing something off their EP, A Brutal Presence. But first, here's this week's Comedy Rundown, brought to you by the legendary Wiley's Comedy Club at 101 Pine Street in Dayton's historic Oregon District. Call 224-JOKE or go to wileyscomedy.com for all the best in Dayton comedy. Tuesday, October 30th, open mic that's today. Open mic at Peach's Grill at 104 Xenia Avenue in Yellow Springs. That starts at 8 p.m. Better hurry. Also, Jen Cobra and Brooke Cartus are at the Dayton Funny Bone at 88 Plum Street of the Green tonight. Wednesday, October 31st, open mic at the Buckeye Sports Lodge at 126 West High Street in Springfield. Is that still you? Mm-hmm. You're not even paying attention. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm in Springfield.
That show starts at 7:30 p.m. Also, open mic at South Park Tavern at 1301 Wayne Avenue. That show starts at 9 p.m. Thursday, November 1st, open mic at the Spirited Goat at 118 Dayton Street in Yellow Springs. That show starts at 7 p.m. There's also an open mic at the Barrel House at 417 East 3rd Street. That show starts at 8:30. And, of course, the open mic at the Hookah Bazaar at 958 Patterson Road in Dayton. That show starts at 10 p.m. Sign-ups, if you want some stage time, start at 9:30. Thursday through Sunday, November 1st through the 4th, Guy Torrey is going to be at the Dayton Funny Bone at 88 Plum Street at the Green. Friday and Saturday, November 2nd and 3rd, Ryan Niemiller is going to be at Wiley's Comedy Club at 101 Pine Street in the Oregon District. And Sunday, November 4th, Wiley Sunday Comics is back at Wiley's Comedy Club at 101 Pine Street. Go out and see some of the local comics, tear it up. That is it as always. Check out wileyscomedy.com and DaytonFunnyBone.com for details and tickets to upcoming shows. And don't forget to show some love on Monday nights to our open mic at Hannah's at 121 North Ludlow Street in Dayton. And we are going to play a little Potter's Field and be back. We will be back here shortly. Don't go anywhere.
Nothing pointed sticks do it. Getting all iron mighty, eh? Fresh fruit not good enough for you, eh? Oh. Well, I'll tell you something, my lad. When you're all walking home tonight and some homicidal maniac comes after you with a bunch of Loganberries, don't come crying to me.
Hey man, this is Donnie Baker at Wiley's Comedy Club, and you're listening to WWSU 106.9. I swear to God.
All right, we're back on the live radio show. Tonight's show is recorded in front of a live studio audience. I'm your host Don Smith. We need a laugh track, is what we need, because we're getting ready to do some news stories, and that's where the magic happens.
All right.
My guest tonight, Damon Darling, Evan Cackley.
Yeah.
Cackley.
Yes.
Cackley and laughing chipmunk back in the back. So
Are
Cackley
and laughing chipmunk related? Cackley laughing.
we didn't get that far into their story yet. Perhaps that will reveal itself as we go on, because you never know. You never know what the live radio show news stories will do to you.
I might can get therapy after this one.
It's very likely.
Say that about my material.
It's very likely. Well, since I did tease this first one at the end of your show, we'll go ahead and start out with a Florida story, because those are always my favorite.
Florida men are
a man in Florida may lack common sense, but he makes up for it in ingenuity. Over the weekend, an unidentified man in a Sebring was photographed sitting in the trunk of the car, using his hands to hold a boat trailer for at least a few blocks. The woman who photographed him told the station she didn't know the speed of the car he was in, since she was following him for only about 45 seconds. Despite the obvious risks of such a maneuver, so far there have been no reports of a boat coming unhitched from a human in the Sebring.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's Florida. That right there is Florida. That's not just a Florida story. That's
their
Florida.
normal day.
Yes,
Yeah, that's the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he probably moves his house trailer the same way. Whenever he gets evicted from the lot he's in the trailer park,
That's
he probably
so
moves
lazy.
his house the same way.
Wouldn't it be easier to just do it the safe way and hook it on the back of a truck?
Well,
It's Florida.
yeah,
They don't care.
It's a Sebring. So,
yeah, he's like, I'm
it's-
gonna make it complicated and dangerous.
Yeah, first let's crawl in the trunk. That's Step one is actually finish that 12-pack.
Right.
Step two is slap your mom. Step
Right.
three is go ahead and get the boat out of her garage
Right.
and hold on to it while your other buddy finishes his 12-pack as he's driving down the road.
Right.
I think that's the full
Exactly.
step
That sounds
to that.
like the formula.
Yeah. And they probably got to whatever lake or body of water they were going to, which probably for them was a canal. They probably weren't aiming
Right.
there. That's where they ended up.
A swamp.
Yep, they just ended up in a canal.
Right.
Boat still on the trailer, because you need that traction in case you go up on land a little bit, because those canals can be kind of shallow. So you need the wheels underneath on the trailer. It was probably like one of the airboats that had the big fan on the back. That way.
Yeah. One of the water boy joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mama said.
So, yeah, that's probably why there were no reports of it coming loose from the Sebring, because the Sebring's stuck in the canal, too, but they just rode the boat on home.
Right. And reporters were like, this ain't news.
Yeah.
It happened yesterday.
Yeah, this ain't news. That's just Billy.
Florida.
He's does this every week. Don't know where he keeps getting them
Wow.
Sebring. Guess nobody else wants them. They just give him to him. Say, here, drive this one into the canal, Billy.
Could have a similar story next week. We're going to hear about another Sebring. From
Yes,
Florida.
yes, and it'll be Billy.
This
Same
time
guy,
it's
yeah.
going to be a yacht
Right.
instead of a boat.
Oh yeah. Well, or it'll be his trailer. He's going to be moving to the new trailer park.
Which is in the canal.
Wow.
Right, which is right next to the canal, which is convenient because that's where they're going to end up.
You got one to top that? I don't think so.
Just in time for Halloween, a rare corpse flower that gets its nickname from its putrid smell is expected to bloom next week in Dartmouth College's greenhouse. Named Morphe, the Titan arum is a native of Sumatra's equatorial rainforest and has a long pointy stalk with a skirt-like covering.
Ooh, we're getting
Sorry, I just
sensational
happened
here.
to look at Patrick. You're not wearing a kilt today, are you?
I am wearing my kilt,
Oh, okay.
actually.
I didn't even pay attention yet. Well, there you go. Do you have a long pointy stalk? We know you grabbed your sack and left the studio,
My long pointy stalk is out there with the sack right
The
now.
sack to stock ratio is.
Anyway, it has a long pointy stalk with a skirt-like covering and tiny yellow flowers at its base.
I don't
Aww.
have the tiny yellow flowers. I'm sorry.
Well, you can work on that. You can tattoo. It blooms just for several days. When it does, it has an odor described as rotting flesh, a decaying animal, and even soiled baby diapers.
Oh.
The plant is decorated with bats, spiders, and apparently a stench, and an arm reaching out of the soil holding a sign that says "Help me." I don't think that's part of the original plant.
Right.
They may have stuck that
Okay.
there. I'm not sure.
If a plant did that, I'm gonna be questioning.
Yeah.
This is a genetically modified plant.
Yes.
No.
By Friday morning, it reached 71.5 inches. Visitors can go to the greenhouse or see the plant on Dartmouth's webcam.
Wait. The plant is 71 inches, or
Yes.
the long pointy stalk is 71 inches?
I would imagine the whole plant, the pointy stalk and all, because usually you measure all the way from the tip to the base.
Otherwise, you're cheating yourself.
Exactly.
Did you consider girth in that equation?
Especially
it
in
said
the
long
winter.
and pointy. It didn't say thick. It didn't say anything about a soup can.
Wow.
A chain.
Feel free to chime in, Evan.
Oh,
I know you're
sorry.
looking-
I know I'm good.
My friend.
But I would definitely recommend viewing it on the webcam.
I don't know.
No
I don't know if I
stench.
want to see it.
Wait,
No
you just
stench.
live,
You just
like,
get to see
watch
the-
a live stream of it.
Apparently,
Where
if you
can I
got
find
nothing
this
better to
thing?
do,
Why would
you can watch
anybody
the
want
stinky
to do
flower
that?
open up for you.
Well,
But again, it opens up such magnificent beauty.
Spread it, flower.
Yeah, yeah. But the stinky flower is opened up for you. Oh, okay.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. You said top it.
Put some summer's eve. Put some summer's eve on it.
KY.
Oh, yeah. We're going down a bad road here.
All right. Am I okay? Am I doing too much?
Are we doing it with the Sebring into the canal?
It depends on where you bring your stinky flower. That's probably why it smells like that. It's been in the canal too long.
Today's guest, stinky flower and snack sack.
Yeah, but man, we
Ironic, it
have a
smells-
new name for the show: Stinky Flower and Snack Sack.
That's
This
great.
is I love when I have two names:
Oh, man.
Stinky Flower and Snack Sack. Perfect. All right. A New England man is facing charges for pretending to be a wedding officiant and then preying on the wedding party. Police in Yarmouth, Massachusetts say James Stern not only impersonated the Justice of the Peace at the Cape Cod wedding last month, but he allegedly stole credit card information from the bridesmaids, according to Fox News. It's fake news. Stern,
Yeah.
Illegal.
Yep. Stern, what did you say? Never mind. Stern of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, was arrested earlier this week and charged with larceny by false pretense and impersonating a justice of the peace. Ashley Villiers, that's quite a name, Villiers,
Ooh.
and David Mellon. See, she went from Villiers to Mellons. That's a good change.
Yeah.
Hired Stern to officiate their September 15th wedding, add lighting, and run a photo booth. That's a busy guy.
Yeah, he does it
You got a
all.
lot going on.
Villiers made the decision after seeing numerous favorable online reviews for Stern's business called An Amazing Day.
Oh.
It was an amazing day for Stern. He got their credit cards.
I win.
And he had to. only problem
I
was
win.
he had to marry a Venu to a Mellon.
Right. Was
Which,
this in Florida?
this was in Massachusetts,
Oh, okay.
which is the Florida of New England.
Right.
Now I want to know. I want to
So
know.
I've heard. I don't
What is
know.
wrong with people, man?
I want to know if the first name is Melanie Mellon.
Yeah, Ashley Mellon.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ashley.
Yeah. So it's Ashley Villiers Mellon. That's the only way you can pronounce that because it's Veilleux. Villiers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Villiers. Villiers.
Villiers.
That's a
That's the
super
English.
villain right
Say
now.
it in country.
Yes.
Villiers.
Villiers. That's Ashley Villiers. She married into Mellons.
and then got her credit card
And then
stolen.
got her
That's what
credit
she
card
did. She
stolen.
probably like looked him up on Craigslist, like looking for service.
Back
Yes,
page.
yeah.
Trying to be cheap.
Yeah, there you go. This next one just says John Hancock in it, so anything that says Hancock's good with me. A quick eye by a Goodwill workers in southern New Jersey turned up framed pages from an original 1774 Philadelphia newspaper with an iconic Unite or Die snake designed on the masthead. The frayed December 28th, 1774 edition of the Pennsylvania Journal and Weekly Advertiser boasts 3 items signed by John Hancock, then president of the Provincial Congress, who pleads for the colonies to fight back, quote, enemies trying to divide them. A jumble of advertisements offer rewards for a lost horse or a runaway apprentice. I somehow doubt that that's really what that is. It's not a runaway apprentice.
No.
Come on now. While another insists the poster will no longer pay his, quote, misbehaving wife's debts. Oh, a simpler time.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A runaway apprentice. Yeah, I don't think so. That's yeah. They would put in an advertisement for a new apprentice if that were the case.
Right.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
runaway. No.
You're not trying to chase down the one.
Yeah, we're talking 1774
Right.
here. We know that this is not an apprentice.
Sounds like slavery, man.
Oh.
It may be in the north, but I think that's what they were going to. Because, yeah, it was in a northern newspaper in Pennsylvania, so they had to hide the fact. So it was a runaway apprentice.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Well, at
terrible.
least they had
That's
the
terrible.
dignity to word it kindly.
Right. Well, because it was in a northern newspaper.
Right. And it's 2018.
Yeah, and it's 2018 now. They probably changed it when they put it in here. That's probably not what the original advertisement was for.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. There's a reason it's not called fruit by the football field.
What?
Let's find out what that reason is together. In a video he posted this week, professional glutton Matt Stoney attempted to eat 108 packs of fruit by the foot. Yeah, that kind of puts your
why?
sack of goodies to
Right.
shame,
That
doesn't
just
it?
put your sack to shame.
Wow.
Why?
By Stoney's math, that's 324 feet of fruit by the foot, or foot by the fruit, I guess, which is more than goal line to goal line on the gridiron. That adds up to 8,640 calories and 1,080 grams of sugar, just a tad over the recommended 36-gram daily limit for men set by the American Heart Association.
Wow.
Stoney, a former Nathan's hot dog eating contest champion, recently downed a
course.
1.25 gallon In-N-Out vanilla milkshake. Oh,
A former dog swallower.
yeah.
Wow.
I'd say not former. He's still doing it. He's still if he's gonna stick that much sweet goodies in his mouth, he's
Right.
still swallowing the wieners now and then.
Oh,
This guy. Hey, my name's Damon, man.
But his latest sweet stunt presented special challenges. Stoney, a.k.a. Megatoad, in case you need to know.
Megatoad.
Megatoad.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's fitting.
I guess Stoney wasn't enough. He had to go with Megatoad.
Right.
Insisted on eating the giant roll he constructed inch by inch instead of biting into the whole wheel.
Wow.
Man, that's a jaw workout, he said.
Oh, that's such a corny ending. Oh, that's the
Yes,
corniest thing.
That
Wow.
The little foot I got wouldn't phase him.
yeah, nope.
I guess swallowing the dogs wasn't enough. He had to go and reach
Right.
into the sack from that.
Yeah,
point on.
yeah.
He'd
Well,
make
he-
your
yep,
sack shrivel.
He choked the wieners right down. He dove on into the sack. Is
Just
what he did
swallow
right
a
there.
person.
He graduated.
He
Oh.
graduated from the
Graduated
wieners.
to sack.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, but, well, that's the natural progression.
He's like, oh no, I'm a pole dancer now.
Yeah. Oh.
Dancing on that long,
Right.
pointy with the deadly flower.
The pole,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I worked
That's
it by
his
the
next
mile,
thing.
baby.
Because he's already eaten the wieners, he's dove into the sack.
Progression, man.
He needs to take a bite out of some stinky flour.
Forgot about the stank flower.
Yeah, how can you forget the stank
I don't know.
flower?
I did, man. That was a nice one. Thanks for bringing it back.
Hey, no problem. That's a callback right there. Was it? Oh,
Full circle.
yeah,
That's what you call a good joke.
or something like it.
Yeah.
Disney theme parks have ranked among the world's most popular vacation spots for decades, but for some guests, the resorts are much more permanent resting place. Employees at Disneyland in Anaheim, California, and Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, tell the Wall Street Journal that the parks have become a favorite spot for visitors to scatter the cremated ashes of their loved ones. A Disney,
Dang.
Wow.
yeah, that's not pixie dust.
Right.
A Disney spokeswoman said such scattering of ashes on company property was, quote, strictly prohibited and unlawful, adding that guests attempting to do so with the remains of family members will be escorted off the property, which kind of seems fairly light for what they're
you're just
doing.
going to spread your ashes here.
But
Here's
that
some
hasn't-
free ticket.
Yeah, there's some right up. It's better than leaving them sit in the radio station.
Yeah, we should take him.
Yeah, we should take him to Disneyland one last time.
Right.
But that hasn't stopped some guests from going to great lengths, like smuggling ashes into the park and prescription pill bottles and makeup compacts,
Come on.
to ensure their loved ones can spend eternity at the happiest places on Earth.
Wow.
I guess God's law comes first. Huh?
Yep,
They
that's
definitely
Trump's man
hated
law.
whoever.
yeah, that's just the lines. Even for ashes, that would get boring.
Yeah.
Just to wait in the
It's
line.
right there in Matthew.
Yeah.
Dump them
Yeah.
at Disney.
Yeah. I would say just take them to Kings Island. They're not going to
Yeah.
know the difference.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
long
no.
lines, crappy music.
Kings would tolerate it.
Yeah, they'd be like, hey, bring it on
Yeah,
out.
it's more like the
Yep.
projects.
They'll still charge you admission for the dead ones.
They got to buy a ticket.
Yep, that's $45
Yeah, but they
or
can
whatever
stay.
it is now. Whatever outrageous amount of money Kings Island still
Oh, yeah.
charges for that crap.
Crazy.
Not a fan.
Mm.
There was more to that story.
there's more.
Employees told the Journal that it happens about once a month and that human ashes have been spread in flower beds and shrubbery inside the parks. Classic attractions like Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion are also popular depositories.
What do they think?
Depositories.
How are people, like, how did they find this out, though? Like, did they go up to somebody and say, hey, are you dumping dead remains? Like, how do you know that that's...
Yeah, that is.
Someone had to call
have it tested.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be
Yeah.
just a
that's weird
random
process.
thing to go and have
I
tested.
just feel like, because if you were pouring something out, like, really, who's going to come up to you and be like, hey, what is that you're pouring out?
Yeah. See, the best thing to do is go on a roller coaster,
There you go.
and as soon as you go through the loop, throw it up.
Yeah.
There you go.
That way, it mixes with all the other kids' vomit.
There you go.
They get one last ride.
They get one last ride, and it gets on people's clothes,
Yeah.
and they take it home. It spreads them out all over the
Yeah,
place.
they
They
get
can see the world that way.
Yeah, they can travel.
Because you never know who else is riding that roller coaster. They could
Right.
be somebody from Germany, and maybe they've never been to Germany
Yeah.
before, always wanted to go. Now they can.
Exactly.
It's just
That's-
necromancy with extra steps.
It's good for Halloween. It's a good Halloween-y story.
Yeah.
That's really why I put that one in there.
Well, definitely a unique story.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
We've got one more, and this is a follow-up because I've been following this story on this radio show for the past probably 7 months since I first heard about this, and here's a new update. A former high school superintendent in New Jersey. New Jersey's coming up with some really good stories too.
Right.
Has pleaded guilty to public defecation on a local high school's track and football field. Thomas Tramaglini pleaded guilty to the charge on Wednesday as part of a plea deal with prosecutors to dismiss charges of public lewdness and littering.
Nude?
Lewdness,
All right, real quick.
public
what-
lewdness
what's
and
lewdness?
littering. Basically indecent exposure,
Oh,
that
okay.
kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He will also have to pay a $500 fine and court costs. The 42-year-old Tramaglini
Tremaglini?
That sounds like a magician, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
Wait,
He
is
probably
that the
performed some
person?
tricks.
Is that
it's
the
the
person?
amazing Tremaglini. Poop.
Wait, that was the person's name?
That was his name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Thomas
world famous.
Tremaglini of the Tremaglini twins. They're flying trapeze artists.
I feel like their parents should have been self-aware. Wow. That embarrassing? You
He
should
definitely
have
sounds like an
kids.
entertainer.
Oh, absolutely. The 42-year-old Tremaglini was the superintendent at the Kenilworth school district until his arrest in May for lewdness. That's when I first heard about the story.
Wow.
Lewdness, littering, and defecating in public. If you're defecating in public, is that not by definition already littering?
Yes.
They got him for that twice. I think that's uncalled for. The district accepted his resignation in July. I ran that story too, because this is the place for all of your poop news.
Right.
It seems
Get it here.
It seems the athletic coaches and other staffers at Holmdel High School, which is not in Tremaglini's former school districts, were repeatedly, quote, finding human feces at or near the track and football field on a daily basis,
Wow.
according to the Ashbury
Oh, I
Park
remember,
Press.
I remember that
Yes,
when he was pooping.
every day. Every day. That is
Yeah,
dedication.
that is. Sounds like a midlife crisis.
That's, oh, yeah. It sounds like he got kicked out of his house and didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, something happened in the family.
Yeah, that was. They should have
Either that
delved.
or
They
his
should
high
have
school
delved
girlfriend
deeper
broke up
into
with him.
why. Yeah,
They
he
shut
should have
off
delved
his
deeper
water.
Yeah. So anyway, that is all the time we have.
All
for it.
right.
I'm going to have to ask you guys to promote any shows you have coming up, anything you have going on. For example, I don't know if anybody has a podcast or some crazy stuff like that.
I did. I stopped. I didn't have time for it.
No, I don't blame you. I don't either. In
Yeah, it's tough.
fact, I'm quitting right now.
All right.
All right, go ahead. You have any shows coming up, Damon?
I'll be at Wiley's November 11th. I'll be at the Funny Bone in Liberty November 15th. And I do my open mic. I host an open mic every Wednesday. It's in Springfield at the Buckeye Sports Lodge. So come on out. 7:30 sign up. Show starts at 8.
All right.
Yeah, this Thursday I'll be at Bethel Road Pub. It's an open mic there. And November 21st, I will be at the Laugh Factory in Chicago.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
congrats.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I
Yeah.
don't care.
All right.
Like,
No, I appreciate you coming on the show.
oh, no problem. Thank you.
Evan Cackley.
Yes.
I got it right that
Sounds
time.
wrong
Damon
every
Darling.
time.
It does.
It does. It's Cackley.
Oh, man, I had a science teacher call me everything. Ethan Kickley, Evelyn. I've been called
Evelyn?
Yeah, I've been called
Well, that's a
Evelyn. I've been called Ebony. I've been called
That's a black woman.
Yeah. Ivory.
yeah. I've been
Might as well
called
keep
it.
it going.
I knew a Hackley growing up.
Yep.
But,
Well,
yeah.
now you know a Cackley. And you're grown up.
Right.
That's, again, natural progression.
Right. I'm
Hackley to
moving
Cackley.
forward.
Yeah, Hackley to Cackley.
Yeah.
Wieners, candy sacks,
Yeah, from sacks to
and
wieners.
smelly
from,
flowers.
From good
Stank
smelling
flowers.
to a stank flower. You gotta
All right.
try it, man.
Yep,
Don't
that's-
what is it? Don't knock it before you try it.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you try it a little bit before you knock it.
Yeah, don't get
You'll
too
catch
stanky.
something. All right.
Just go all in
right.
with it.
Something.
On that note, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our top of the hour mandated.
By the
I'm
state?
stuck. Yes, absolutely,
Oh, wow.
absolutely. By something, I don't know, FCC, somebody like that. Yeah, those guys. And we will be back here shortly without Damon and Evan. We'll be back with Thor. I mean, Chris Karwoski will be back
It
in the
does look
studio
like
with
Thor.
us.
That's why I'm laughing so hard.
And we will be back here shortly. Stick around. Thanks for listening to the Life Radio Show podcast. Check us out on the Eventide Entertainment Podcast Network or wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, if you want to listen live, we're on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM with a repeat broadcast on Wednesdays from noon to 2, or you can always stream the show live at wwsu1069.org. If you have suggestions or comments, feel free to email the life1069@gmail.com.
Cackly. Yeah.
Cackly.
Yes.
Cackly and laughing chipmunk.